What's up, guys? This is Jag again with the JB podcast. So, we all know that Carmelo Anthony has been on the trading block since basically he signed his humongous contract with the New York Knicks back in the summer of 2014, um, which was very questionable at the time anyway because Houston and Chicago both had better situations for him. One less year uh, that they could give him on a contract, of course, but he could still get that early termination option. And with the cap rising, he probably would have made more money in the long run anyway, and he would have been in a better situation, especially with Houston since they made the conference finals that year with injured Dwight and a beast Harden. I mean, one more scoring option would have been, who knows, maybe they could have won one more game against the Warriors or something that year. But anyway, he's been on the trading block pretty much ever since then. And this year it's pretty hot. I mean, everyone's saying he'll get traded this year because New York needs to rebuild around Porzingis, which I agree. I mean, Porzingis is the future. Anthony is he's still probably the Knicks' best player, but they're not winning games and they're struggling for an 8th seed right now, which I predicted in the summer. By the way, once they got Rose and Noah, I still thought they would be struggling for a 7 or 8 seed, and that's exactly what they're doing. So they're saying they need to burn down the house right now and keep Porzingis and build around him for the future. Get some draft picks, all that good stuff, and trade Carmelo. Now, here's the problems with that. We already know Carmelo loves New York, doesn't want to leave. He shows he's fully committed, basically in every way, in every medium. Reporters always say he's totally committed. They talk to him. He loves it there. His wife loves it there. He has family in New York. He's originally from there, so it makes sense. Um, and a lot more business opportunities, I guess, even though the NBA is global now. So, I mean, LeBron's in Cleveland, and he's the richest player in the NBA. So not saying Carmelo's on LeBron's level, let's be honest. But here's two problems with Carmelo trade. One, he has a no trade clause, so he can basically say wherever he'll go. I mean, the Knicks need to find a trade, but he can basically say, "I'll do that. I won't do that." Uh, and uh, Reports have come out that he's really interested in waiving the no trade clause for Cleveland and the Clippers. Maybe he'll change his mind closer to the trade deadline if he really wants to win, but who knows? Uh, and then two is his 15% trade kicker. And for those of you who don't know, it's basically just a trade bonus. So 15% of his remaining salary gets distributed among the rest of his contract before his early termination option. So basically, the rest of this year and next year will get his trade bonus added on top of it. Thankfully, his new team won't be responsible for that. The New York Knicks will. But it gets sticky because he has a 15% trade bonus, which is about 8 million more. If he does get traded, he gets about 8 million more for the rest of this season and next season distributed. But and before it was kind of he'd lose a lot more money because the cap wasn't as high, so he'd be losing a lot of money since he signed it in the earlier CBA before the cap started to rise. Um, but now the cap is so high, he can still get most of his money if he's trading. But the problem is he's eligible next year to make about 33 million max wise for 10 plus excuse me for 10 plus years in the NBA. So he's eligible to make about 33 million max, like LeBron is going to be making next year. But his new team will have to trade assets equal to what his contract would be after the trade kicker. So with the 8 million distributed evenly, he'd get about 5 million more next year added onto his contract, and next year he's already at 27 million. So he'd be at about 32 million, just below the max. He would get his most of his bonus, but the new team this year would also have to trade for his bonus this year, which is about another 3 million. So they'd have to equal salaries about $30 million. They'd only have to pay the original contract, and New York would pay the rest, but they would still have to match. And here's the thing: he says he wants to go to Cleveland or the Clippers. Cleveland has no cap space. We already know that. Their starting lineup is making over 100 million by themselves, highest paid starting lineup in history, and they have by far the highest cap right now as well. Um, so Cleveland, their really only option is because you can't package a trade exception with it. So they have two trade exceptions, one for about 4.5 million from the Verjao deal still, and then about a $2 million one, I believe, from Mo Williams, and another 1 to $2 million one from uh, Dante Jones from last year. So, but you can't package all of those together with players and say, okay, here, we're trading all of this, and just basically dumping salary. So they would have to package players. And who are the Cavs willing to give up? I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, obviously, Kevin Love, right? Um, Here's my thing: Kevin Love right now has proven he's a better player than Melo. I mean, they both don't shoot very well. Let's be honest. Love's at about 44%. For the past month, Melo has been at like 39%, or the past few games anyway. But he has been playing a little bit better. His team's still losing. He had a 25-point quarter the other day. But so I don't think Cleveland is willing to give up Melo. They could, sorry, they could always package a JR, a Shumpert, and some other role players. But the thing is, they're already weak at the guard position. They need a backup point guard. That would just dwindle them down in the shooting guard as well. And they could always go big with Melo, LeBron, Love, and Kyrie, obviously, and Tristan Thompson. But I don't know if that's worth giving up two very good defenders, JR very improved, for Melo, who isn't really known as a defender. Let's be honest here, never has been his whole career. And now that he's old, definitely not. Um, Giving up two great wing defenders that can go on players like Steph, Clay Thompson, etc. Uh, and then also they'd have to be giving up maybe Richard Jefferson in that deal, back up to LeBron. I don't think it would work. Okay, unless they give up Love again, which I don't think they're willing to do. Love is younger, better rebounder, both not very good defenders. Love's a slightly better shooter, especially from three this season. And yeah, and he has more upside as well right now than Carmelo. And then next team, the Clippers. Uh, they'd have to account for 30 million, like I said, and Blake Griffin obviously is a huge name that he's making a lot of money. The Clippers have some cap room; they could move, flip them, right? But here's the plus to Griffin. The Griffin Melo trade is the core for the Clippers isn't working. It hasn't for the past 4 years. Um, but Griffin, one, is younger than Melo, is better than Melo, in my opinion, a better passer than Melo, better rebounder than Melo, slightly worse scorer, but probably better since he's more efficient scorer. Griffin's all around the better player than Melo is right now. Current Melo. Maybe not Denver Melo, but current Melo definitely. And I don't know why the Clippers would go for that unless they say, let's switch it up. I mean, Carmelo and CP3 are already really good friends, so maybe they'll have better chemistry on the court. CP3 can take over all of the passing duties because before, when it was Griffin and CP3 distributing, it didn't really work out that well. CP3 and the team actually does better when Griffin's been injured the past 2 years, and it's just CP3, oddly enough, record wise. But so that might be an improvement. Doc Rivers might go for that. But again, do you want to be one on the hook to be giving? Because Blake's not making 30 million, so you'd probably have to, unless they have the cap space, you'd probably have to package someone with Blake, and probably a trade pick as well if the Knicks ask for that. But and then on the Knicks side, you get Blake Griffin, which is fantastic, but he plays the same position as Porzingis. Would there be problems with that? They both need shots, but Griffin is a great passer. Porzingis is a pretty good passing big man, so I wouldn't see a ton of problem there, but it could get clogged down low. You know, even though both can stretch the floor a little bit as well, I don't know how good their chemistry would be, and it still doesn't solve their defensive problems. One, it does solve the Noah problem, but he's still on their books for 17 million a year. So unless you can move Noah to a third team, then I could possibly see the Knicks doing this trade. Um, I don't know why the Clippers would, honestly. Carmelo doesn't make you much better, doesn't give you a better chance against the Warriors, in my opinion, unless he goes off and has uh, some amazing playoff games, which we can't really rely on that right now since he hasn't made the playoffs for a few years now and wasn't amazing in his last playoffs. I mean, they got beat by the Heat. Okay, so that's why it's kind of sticky. Is because one, he gets $8 million more, 8 million, 8 million more because of his trade kicker, 15% bonus, and two, uh, teams have to match that salary. They're not on the books for that. The Knicks are, but it's going to be hard to match that salary, especially for where he wants to go. Now, if he says something like, "Oh yeah, I'll take a Celtics," Celtics have a lot of cap room, so they can absorb that extra, even though they're not paying it. But since they have the cap room, they won't have to package as many players together to get Melo. They can offer draft picks to get him. And Melo would honestly probably be a great fit with the Celtics. He takes a little responsibility from Isaiah Thomas, so he doesn't have to do everything, which IT has been playing great, don't get me wrong, but it always helps to have another option, you know. And then you got Al Horford as well. The defense still wouldn't be that great on that team. I don't see them beating the Cavs, but it's worth a shot for the Celtics. I don't know if Melo would waive his no trade clause for that. There is one thing that Melo can do to make a trade easier to, per se, one of the teams he wants to go to, Cleveland or the Clippers, and he can waive either a portion of his trade kicker or he can waive the whole thing. That he doesn't get the 15% bonus, which I don't see Melo doing. I mean, I'm not saying he's a selfish player. I mean, I support getting your money and doing all that, but it's hard to make the salary work. And I don't really see him saying, okay, I'll take this amount of money away from myself if I get traded um, to be in a better situation to win. Especially in Cleveland, when he loves New York, his wife loves New York. I don't see them moving to Cleveland and him taking less money to do so. Maybe LA because it's still not as big a market as New York, but it's still a lot of good opportunities there, and the weather's nicer than New York actually. So I could maybe see him taking a little less to go to LA, but probably not Cleveland unless he's really gung ho on winning, and the Cavs can somehow keep their big three, Tristan Thompson, and somehow get Melo. Um, But that's pretty much it that I have for you guys. What do you think is going to happen before the trade deadline with Carmelo Anthony? Do you think he'll get traded? Do you think he just wants his money and really just loves New York? Or do you think he actually wants to win and he's going to demand a trade before the trade deadline? And do you think New York and Phil Jackson will pull that trigger? Say we need to rebuild around Porzingis, throw this season away, get a good draft pick, because next year's draft is loaded as well. So, what do you guys think New York will do? What do you think Carmelo really wants to do? And just let me know your overall thoughts. And then also, please like, subscribe, and comment all those things that I asked you earlier. And please recommend this to any of your friends. And then lastly, if you're a Eastern Conference fan of another team or a Western Conference fan of another team, what do you think would happen to the landscape of your conference if Melo was suddenly shifted to a different team? Let me know. And that's all I have for you guys today, and I'll see you guys next time.